Hello and welcome to the only podcast produced by Matt's wife and Max's son, or as we call him here at ForceForThought, our Quinlan boss. I'm Luke.
I'm Max.
And I'm Matt.
And
I almost said I'm Lynn.
And this is ForceForThought.
Tell me how to do that whole thing twice for that. As soon as I saw you reaching for it, though, I was like, oh, I know what it's going to be.
I saw him grabbing the figure, too. I was like, I was going through the Rolodex of characters that could potentially be.
All right. Hello and welcome. We're here today to talk about Maul Shadowlord episodes 7 and 8. Before we get into the details, let's go off the rip. I, again, really liked this week's batch of episodes. Matt, let's start with you. What'd you think?
Guys, I texted you during this. I didn't think this show could get better. I texted you, Maul is the Andor of the animated series. It's amazing. Then I texted you the gif of John Hamm dancing and said how I felt about the music during the chase scene in episode 8. Then I sent you a memoji of me holding my face like this with dreads, because I forgot, or cornrows, because I forgot I accidentally changed my memoji with cornrows.
You could
then I
pull
put
them
this
off.
show has me. This show has me getting goosebumps, and I said me right now, and I sent you a picture of R.L. Stine, which I thought was hilarious, which is the writer of Goosebumps.
I got from context.
I love these episodes.
That's who that was.
Yeah,
but
that's what
I'm
I
not a
thought.
big
No
R.L. Stine
laughing. Insane. Also from Bexley, crazy.
He's the
Luke.
best-selling
Gotta get
horror
into
author
it.
of all time.
But yep, exactly. Yeah, he's great. But no, I these episodes were great. I'm excited to get into it. Speechless, honestly. I'm, as we know, I feel like sometimes we're not the most critical folks around. I feel like in the Star Wars universe, I was just telling some of my coworkers today that I was like, between the three of us, I don't mind complaining about things, but like outwardly, I feel like I won't complain to other people about things just because context, and we're all on the same page. But I can't complain. I put these on and I was glued. I woke up at 4:30, couldn't go back to bed, was thinking about these episodes, and then I watched them, and then that's why I was texting you guys at like 6 a.m. or 5:30 or whatever it was. Anyway,
Max, what did you think?
I have 3 high-level thoughts I want to share real quick. The first is a formal invitation for the two of you to suck it, because it's the Maul show. And of course it's going to go into Crimson Dawn. Of course we're going to get Dryden Voss and eventually Kira, and it's going to end with him on Malachor. You guys were so skeptical. You're like, I don't know if it's going to go that far. And here we are, episode 8, and he's already on the phone with Dryden Voss. And that episode ended, and I'm like, because of course it fucking will. I'm like, I don't know why I didn't argue this more, 3 episodes ago when it initially came up. So I'm bringing it back now to let everyone know that I did call this to an extent. We'll still see where it goes, obviously. But I'm very excited. I thought it was like a nice little tag for episode 8 going into episode 10. And I think that it's going to go a little bit farther than we think. And I have one bold prediction, which is that the episode 10 is just called Finale, which is just a weird name for an episode, especially when we know like it's just the season finale. They're already coming back for season 2, and they have like the title of the episodes on screen right after the main credits, and all the names are really cool. So I'm like, I wonder if that name is like a placeholder. I wonder if they're going to change the name at the last second and we just don't know it yet. I don't want to commit to that too hard in case it's not, but I think that possibility is out
I bet
there,
you're
so
right.
I'm throwing that
I
out
bet you're
now.
right too. Yeah, I'm all aboard that train.
My second
Yeah, same.
high level thought.
Choo-choo.
This is going to sound like a little too sweeping, but let me clarify. All Star Wars television should be animated from here on out. They're knocking it out of the park. It is visually beautiful and it is tonally perfect. And yes, I understand. We love Andor. We glaze it all the time. It's perfect. But I think with how successful this show is, it should all just be animated. It also opens the doors for them to be able to do too much more. They don't have to worry too much about logistics and leave live action for the movies, which then also makes the movies more of an event, which is what they're trying to do anyway. But the show is striking.
God, I wish I could
The
argue
show
with
is
that.
striking the perfect tone for animation, right? And there's like they're all small moments, but they stuck out to me, which is the first one when Riley was being taken by the stormtroopers, he was on the lat gunship and they were driving away, and Devin jumps to it, and she can't hold on because there's just nothing to grab. And it's like, yeah, that's like a really like actually grounded, realistic version of what would happen. And I'm thinking, and I'm like, that's both like pretty grounded, but it would also be weird to play that out in live action. Like, what would that look like, you know? And so that was like one where I was like, I kind of like that little beat. Another one was, I feel like, a meta joke where I feel like they're even the producers, writers of this show are trying to keep this a little more grounded, a little more tonally mature, because there's this one part in episode 7 where they're just like jumping down to a platform, Maul and his goons, and it's a pretty far jump. And when Vario jumps, he makes a joke about it. He's just like, oh, yep, just bruised an internal organ. And I laughed at that. I was like, that's a funny line. And I'm like, yeah, that's what would happen if that was real life. I mean, that was like, he's a small person. Like, that was like a 100-foot drop to him. And again, that's just something that's like, I feel like they're taking it a little bit more seriously, a little less childlike than what we would maybe see in like early Clone Wars or Rebels or anything like that. But still not something that plays out well on live action. And then the third example was a little bit bigger of a moment because it was when Maul was escaping the Inquisitors, and he takes that huge jump and he's like about to smash into a platform, and then he just starts doing like a Palpatine style spin move, and it just cuts to black like right before he smashes into the pavement. And in my head, I'm like, hold on, let's think about like the physics of that move real quick, because that was pretty insane if like what I think they were trying to insinuate actually happened, which is he's like carving a circle super fast into the bridge before he cuts through it. And they knew not to show that because they were like, yeah, this is badass, but like that's going to look ridiculous. So it was like a perfect fade to black, and then it just cuts back to him under a pile of rubble, and he's like very clearly like pretty hurt. So it's like little things like that where I'm like, this show is just striking the perfect tone and has the perfect balance of like animation, but still being relatively grounded and serious, but showing us things that you can't see in live action. For all those reasons, keep Star Wars TV animated. At this quality, it should all follow suit. And then my last high-level thought is Two Boots, I think, is officially in my top 3 Star Wars droids of all time with K2SO and Chopper. He's fantastic.
Wow.
I love him.
That's crazy to say, Max.
I laughed kind of like just like a little like snicker when he was like, how did you recognize me without my boots? Or he was like, how did you know who I am? I'm not wearing my boots. Yeah. And I just kind of snickered at it. And then it came back later. And the second time I laughed like a little harder than I probably should have, but it was just a good callback for me. And I don't like...
When does it come back later? Remind me.
He says it twice. He says it once to Riley, and then he says it again to Lawson. Because then the second time with Lawson, they have that nice moment where he's like, partner, I'd recognize you anywhere, or something like that. And I'm like, that's such a nice moment. Mm-hmm. But it's also such a nice character moment, too, because that's his whole identity. And like that was a really nice little arc for Two Boots. He's finding himself. He's a protocol droid.
You're more than your boots, folks.
I know.
You
are more than what you wear, Two Boots. He is a living example of that. Well, yeah, living, whatever. But like it's an odd amount of character development going on too for Two Boots. It's great. I love this show.
Let's first talk about the most controversial and brave statement I've heard in years on this podcast, that all Star Wars television should be animated from here on out. I don't disagree. That's a crazy take. Like,
I think so too.
I'm thinking about all these shows, with the exception of Andor. I think Andor needs to, and if you're going to make something as good as Andor, make it live action. But like even like Ahsoka, Mandalorian, Skeleton Crew, like shows that I like,
yes,
they would not be worse in animation. They wouldn't necessarily be better, but a lot lower risk, a lot higher volume. Like you can do a lot more.
I think it's a lower floor with a higher ceiling, because you're right. I would also throw Kenobi in there. I like Obi-Wan Kenobi, the TV show.
Well, I was thinking about that, but the whole novelty of that show was seeing Ewan McGregor and Hayden Christensen again. So I think that one would not have worked in anime.
I mean, not to too much semantics, but like in my world, all Star Wars television would be animated, but that would have been a spin-off movie, which it clearly was intended to be in the first place anyway.
Yes.
Same thing with the Book of Boba Fett, probably.
Yeah, let's relitigate
but the Book of Boba
this.
Fett's another one, where it's like, Book of Boba Fett, that probably would have benefited from a little bit of animation. But I don't know. Because I'm also, it's not just like the visual, it's also the tone and the story. This show is striking the perfect balance between the quality of live action shows and the visuals of animation. Like it's the perfect combination.
It truly is. I mean, Max, I was like, that's a crazy statement to have, but then like you were just talking about it, and I feel like thinking about that even a little deeper. It's like this show is it. When you look, the first episode when we watched Maul, you were like, we're not allocated to the other style of animation. We have a new animation style. And this feels like the stories that we want that are told that we're not getting let down for some reason. It's not because it doesn't look correct. Like sometimes in The Mandalorian, it has a different tone. Which is confusing. You have an animated show called Maul that is darker, or then The Mandalorian, which is live action, that is a lighter tone. Most of the time, it's just like this weird parallel, and I feel like the animated shows can get away with more. But like, it's weird like watching the show and being like, I liked Bad Batch, like I loved Bad Batch when it was coming out, but now watching this, you're like, oh no, I just only liked Bad Batch in comparison. Like this is Bad Batch has nothing on Maul. Like I like the characters and stuff, but like this show is so good. Like this really is the Andor of the animated shows. Like it's consistency. I mean, seeing Maul cry and like you feel this pain. I'm excited to get into it too, because there's a couple like super dark moments in this as well. But other two thoughts besides reading my text off, because I never prepared to go first, is I've never wanted to see lightsabers go through water more after these episodes. When they jump through the water fountain or the waterfall, I'm like, well, like that looks so. I love that scene. And then when Maul goes out into the open and it's like this forest nighttime scene, but it's like really bright and light, like beautiful. I was like, why do I feel like I'm in a theme park right now?
Yeah.
And then also, is Devin gonna be one of my favorite Jedi?
You might be.
Like, she's so good. I did it the first couple episodes. I was like, okay, she's fine, whatever. How long is this going to be? I'm expecting Bad Batch where we're going to fall off with this character. I'm not really going to care. There's no development, yada, yada.
Careful on the Bad Batch slander.
No.
Go on.
Amazing. I like Bad Batch, but when you're watching this, you're like, oh my God, like, Omega can suck it. Like, I don't know. Like, I just...
Omega is super
Devin's
cool. She just doesn't have a lightsaber, so she's not nearly as cool as Devin. But
I don't see, but I don't care about that stuff as much as you. But I don't know, guys. I'm loving it. Sorry, Luke. You got to cook. I feel like you.
Yeah, I wanna talk about. So I feel like we have set the stage appropriately that we like the show, and now I can start complaining about it, and it'll still be overall net positive. Because Max, I'm glad you brought that up, and I will not suck it. Because what I was worried about was that they would start involving Dryden Voss, Crimson Dawn, Malachor, etc. at the expense of the story they're telling right now. And it just happened, 10 seconds at the end of the second episode this week, so I can't write it off completely. But that's kind of what happened. Like, I've been very intrigued by the story on Janix, Maul, all the side characters, the Empire, the police. It's all great. And then at the end of episode 8, he just gets a phone call, and it's Dryden Voss. And it's kind of out of left field. And it seems like it's just going to detract from the story they're telling on Janix and evolve into something else. I'm not saying that it is doing that, but that's what I was worried about before, and they have not quelled that fear based on what we've seen already.
I can't say that it won't, but I have faith that it won't. And I don't think it's that far out of left field because... dealing with these criminal syndicates is what Maul was already doing. Because we already had that one episode where he went to go see the Pikes. So, I don't know. This isn't that much different. I mean, that's kind of what Vario's around for, is his connections with the other people. You're right. I mean, depending on how they go from this Janix storyline of being hunted and trying to escape into the Crimson Dawn storyline might be jarring, and we'll have to wait and see. But I'm glad that they're acknowledging that, yes, there is a lot of Maul lore out there, that we are going to try to connect the dots for the audience on. Because when we talked about it last time, we were like, oh, well, I don't know if it's going to go all the way to, I forget what we said exactly, if we said Kira or Malachor or whatever. And my point was, if not now, when? Like, how many times, this is the Maul TV show. Like, if we're not going to, like, and fill in these lines, connect these dots, that's what I was looking for. If we're not going to connect these dots now, when are we going to do it? And the answer is never. They would just dangle it in front of us in perpetuity to make sure that we keep watching every single thing that comes out. And I don't want that. I want a little bit of closure sometimes. And I feel like we're going to get it with this.
Just need to have patience. It's like The Acolyte Season 2. Yes, technically doesn't exist. They are going to be making Star Wars until the sun blows out of the sky. We will get every single story.
And
over time.
You know what? And Firefly just announced that they're coming back, and it's going to be animation, and I'm excited about that. They're still looking for a streaming service to host it, I think. But like they already got it, like the studio lined up and the writers and everything, and the cast is all ready to go. So I don't know what that means, but maybe The Acolyte can come back, season 2 animation. Stick with my theme of keeping all Star Wars TV animated.
Yeah, I mean, and so that's my point that you're saying, like, if not now, when? Like, 2027, 2028, 2029. Like, every year we're going to get more Star Wars content. Maul is consistently the most popular character.
But it would never be answered. It wouldn't be answered in 27 or 28. We would keep having the same conversation until we die. Because Star Wars is going to be too hesitant to connect it, because then they're going to say, well, if we do that, then we're kind of closing the book on Maul, and we really want to keep that open because it's putting asses in seats. And yes, it does do that. But you also have to think about the audience experience. We want to have a little bit of closure.
I agree. I'm just saying we have the rest of our lives to receive Maul content, and I think we will. So I'm just biding my time on getting the answers to it, because I don't want it to be rushed at the expense of the side characters in this show. I'd rather have these characters breathe for an entire season or 3, and then, Maul Crimson Dawn Lord in 10 years from now, and then Maul Malachor Hermit Lord in 20 years. Like, I genuinely think we will be getting Maul content for the rest of our lives.
The Inquisitors, I just rewatched what's it called? Dawn of the Apprentice. Dawn of the Apprentice? Is that the Rebel episode with Maul and Vader? Twilight of the Apprentice. Thank you. And I forgot, but the Inquisitors in that refer to Maul as a shadow. And I was like, oh, it's a nice little continuity thing there.
All right. Well, we've been talking about it for 20 minutes. You guys ready to get started? Episode 7, Call to Oblivion. Good episode. Not going to go through it scene by scene like we have been for this review series, but my first note, which is kind of similar to what Max was talking about with the grounded realism intermixed with heightened athletics and effects and stuff for animation, it jumped out at me that Riley and Devin are crawling around the sewers and climbing up and down, and Devin is doing Jedi jumps, and Riley is slowly climbing down like your toddler playing a video game with you, and you're just sitting there waiting. Mm-hmm. Like, I feel like every 5 minutes she would turn around and wait for him to climb down a ladder that she jumped down.
Like you're waiting for an NPC character to follow you.
Yes.
And you know the map already.
That's funny.
There also was not talking to Vader or the Emperor, right? We can assume now?
I don't think so. Because for one, the points I made last week still stand about why Vader would be perfect for the show, style-wise and plot-wise. But also, are we to believe that, like, this Inquisitor is my lord? Like, what's the deal? What's the deal here? We don't know anything about Plague Doctor Inquisitor, so he could be a quasi-Grand Inquisitor role. Do they even call Grand Inquisitor my lord? Like, I don't know. I don't love the curveball that would throw into my understanding of the Inquisitorious hierarchy, and I just really think it's going to be Vader still. What'd you guys think? You guys think it's him?
I think it was the reveal that was him, with that grand entrance and stuff. I mean, he looks cool as hell, and I feel like it's a big entrance, and he had the hood on as well. Mm-hmm. It just felt very in line with everything.
I didn't even connect those dots, if I'm being honest. I still assumed it was Vader. You're saying that he was talking to the Crow Inquisitor?
Yeah.
I can't believe you didn't think about that, because like there were several times when Merrick was like, "Oh, gotta go receive my lord," and "Oh, my lord is trying to make communication. Gotta kneel down and talk to him." Like I was 100% thinking Vader was about to show up, and then it was this guy. This guy is very cool, but
it was just
he's
because
no Vader.
of the trailers and stuff that I seen, but I knew he was in it, so it wasn't surprised to me at all, and maybe that's why I'm still assuming that it was Vader that he was talking to. I don't know. I'd have to go back and rewatch that now. Maybe it was him. I've been wrong about this thing in the past too, because I specifically said when we were talking about the death of Chief Kleiss that I was like, well, they intentionally left it open-ended. I don't know if like maybe we are going to get any resolution to that, and I think that's the point. And then in this last episode, they made it very clear. The guy was like, "Aren't you going to get it? Chief Kleiss is dead." And I'm like, okay, I guess that puts that one to rest.
Maybe I'm just trying to be contrarian, but I still don't believe it. What does this guy know?
It's possible. Yeah, you're right. But I don't know. To me, as an audience member, I was like, okay, that was definitely them trying to be like, no, this is what happened. Which makes sense with the nail marks from the hand and the table and everything. I don't know.
Yeah. And also it gives Two Boots that push to be like, oh, like his actions had a direct result in an innocent person dying. Which I liked. And go real quick, going through when they're walking, I like Devin and Maul. I feel like so many times in movies, right, you have to move fast, so you don't really have downtime with characters, and it's nice to see people of opposing views literally having to walk together, like the most simple human thing you can possibly do, and like basically have a conversation. And there's something very eerie about it. Like, can you imagine being Riley in that situation, walking with like the spookiest and scariest person you've ever seen? Like, there's just something so eerie about it, and like the fact that he is cool, calm, and collected, and clearly wants something, so he's kind of playing along. I love that side of Maul. I mean, we've seen that before. I rewatched multiple times after each of these episodes Maul's death. It just is it's such a great death in general. But I feel like just being able to add to it, to this show, I think it's even going to be, it's heavier watching it just to see how broken he really is. And I know Maul truly is like a tragic character. And I mean, we know that already, but like this is just adding to it, obviously, specifically in episode 8, which we'll get to.
So
anyway,
surely my lord is not Plague Doctor Inquisitor. Covered that note. The only other note that I have to talk about for episode 7, which I'm sure you guys similarly have a lot more to say about episode 8 than 7, but I'm sort of cooling off on Daki. Not like I dislike. Well, I guess I do dislike his character, or I'm starting to not like his character so much. But I feel like it's been being written that way. Like when he said, I feel like we should extricate ourselves because we're just making matters worse. Like, too little too late, Daki. That's what you should have said yesterday. Like, fuck off. You're in us now. You can't just leave him in this state now. And I feel like most of the time whenever he says something, it's just like a little bit too naive and incorrect, you know?
That's how I feel about Daki since day one. I was not a Daki hater, but I did not enjoy him this entire time. And I will say I actually like him a bit more because he actually seems like he has purpose in the fact of being that wedge now versus just being the Gandalf the White, which I think is too altruistic, which is my problem with most of the Jedis in general. Yeah, I'm glad you're cooling off on Daki. Max, where are you standing on Daki now? Hopefully on his
very
hot.
Boiling lava hot on Daki. I'm loving the guy. I think what you're saying though is correct in that's like what they want the audience to kind of feel like. It's like you need to be, given the circumstances, a little more practical about the situation. And I feel like Daki is the symbol of that old fallen Jedi Order way, which is naive, right? And it's kind of like hopelessly optimistic. And I think that's going to be part of Devin's realization is like, look, I can't do this. Like we need to band with Maul. We need to group together if we're going to defeat the Empire, the Inquisitors, whatever it is. So it is a story purpose. And I mean, I see what you're saying, where you said like you thought it was being written that way, and yes, I agree, but that doesn't make me dislike the character any less.
It's like the narrative purpose is clear to me that Maul is looking more and more attractive as Daki is looking less and less attractive.
Right.
Guys of Devon. So I like where it's going, but I'm just bummed because Daki is such a cool voice,
But
such a cool
Daki-
character. I really wanted to be all in on him.
I think this was episode 8, so I'm already jumping ahead. But Daki had one of the coolest moments when they were in that speeder chase and they did that sick Tokyo drift, and he opened the door and he used the force on those 2 speeder bikes. The one he just kind of like pushed to the side, but then the other he threw in the air and crashed it into the Lat gunship as their speeder was drifting underneath it. As a fan of Star Wars and the Fast and Furious, I feel like that was just designed only for me. And I gotta say, they killed it. I watched it before recording. I was kind of doing a speed run through the episodes, and both times I verbally said out loud, "That is sick."
Yeah, you know how Star Wars and Fast and Furious are 2 very small franchises. How only you
That
like
is
them.
a specific to
The
me
diagram
alone.
intersects with Max Taylor
You know how
alone.
they both have made trillions of dollars? That's all me.
The ending scene, I know I talked about how I think beautiful it looks and that nighttime vibe as well. I love the sense of urgency in both these episodes. I mean, we can talk about the elevator going down to chaos in episode 8.
Yes, we
I
will.
loved that. But I felt like that almost intensity when they go back and you realize all these people are going to get got, right? You see this attack basically, right? You have the Crow Inquisitor come. Maul is obviously at a very low point. All the Mandalorian obviously are, they really kind of lay it on the fact that they want their credits and they're forced to leave them behind. And then once they get the first opportunity out, they leave. And they actually showed like a pretty brutal death for those people too, which I love. Like that was a great moment when it felt like a movie, right? Like that didn't feel like an animated show type thing. And that's something that we really haven't gotten, I feel like, since the movies, maybe since the sequel trilogy. But it's like you see them and then you see the explosion and it cuts right before the fire and flames actually engulf them. And it's brutal, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I love that switch of like, he's like, you slime, which is like such a kid thing to call somebody, and then instantly pivot into being like brutal ass death. And this show really just takes its swings.
And that's
They gave those Mandalorians the perfect amount of no helmet time to make us care about their death.
That's funny.
Yes.
That's another tone thing that I wanted to say as well, and I forgot about. So thank you for saying. Yes, I absolutely agree. That's perfect, and it's gratuitous. It's unnecessary. They could have just gotten away. They could, like, story wise, it makes no difference. But writing it, making it, the show just said, you know what would be even cooler if they just got blown up immediately.
Yeah.
I agree. Story-wise, it makes no difference, which is why my note on the matter is the Mandalorians ? Because I also didn't love that beat. Like, what was the narrative purpose for these Mandalorians in general? Like, it's not like that even directly led to Maul getting. I thought that's why Maul and Rook and Ludi were going to be captured, but they didn't even. Like, why?
Well, it's why they can't get off.
Why were
planet.
those
They just
Mandalorians
took
even
the-
in this
took
show?
the ship.
Yeah,
That's
I
it.
think
That's
it's-
the narrative part.
for-
I mean, they were
to be
part
in
of
the
his
show, I think
crew.
it's
His forces
just-
are dwindling. Maul is once again losing his team, which is all he has at this point, which, I mean, is his whole character arc that they kind of started to explore in episode 8, which is he's just a man who's lost everything. He was ripped from his mother. He's lost his brother. He's lost his family, his mother, his planet. His master turned on him. Like, every single thing that he's ever had is gone. And now his team is starting to hightail it and screw him over. It serves a
And
story
most of the-
purpose in my mind. I love that beat.
I'm not sold
And
on
it's
it.
also I think it's also depressing where no one is actually following him because they believe in him. They're following him for the credits. There's like this double sad thing where he's getting a team behind him. Again, the Mandalorian specifically.
Mhm.
They're getting, I mean, obviously they don't care at all. They're just doing it for the money. And they'll be gone right away when they don't think it's lucrative. And they obviously were like, well, this is not worth our lives. We didn't get credits. We're out of here. We're never coming back. And then obviously wrong place, wrong time as well.
Right. And
But
go on.
No, I just like the fact that like even Maul, though he's trying to build himself up, he realistically has 3 people on his side, and it's like depressing that he has to get so much. I'm excited to talk about episode 8 stuff too, because I feel like so many different levels to mental health in a way too with Maul. Like I don't know how else to describe it.
Helpline. But, if you or someone you know is struggling with depression.
Yes, literally. That's what. Basically, yes, yeah. I mean, literally blaming. I mean, yeah, yes. We'll get into it a little bit too, but I think I like the Mandalorians leaving.
I think the narrative purpose is going to be, because if it's just that his forces are dwindling, they could have just died, and they didn't need to do the whole. We're running out of credits. We're going to leave. Rook says no. You have to stay. Like, that's the kind of stuff that seems unnecessary in retrospect, seeing as they just died basically in battle. I think that they're going to go in a way that like Maul will not rely on mercenaries going forward, but it's not like he's going to start employing moral righteousness as a loyalty tactic. Like he's a crime lord. It's still going to be money, and so maybe they'll tie it in, but I'm not loving that part.
Yeah, I really think you're just overlooking that. I don't think they are going to tie it in. I feel like that was what it was.
Agree.
Well, then why were they in this show? Like, just have some faceless goons that died during a faceless goon battle.
To the story arc. They were part. No, I disagree.
I think they could have been. I don't think they need to be necessarily Mandalorian specifically. Besides the fact that Rook has a connection to them, but they could have been anyone else. I would have been fine with it. I like the
beat continuity from where he ended up in Clone Wars.
Yeah, I mean that makes sense. I'm just saying it could have been anybody. I like the beat more than the actual characters themselves. But yeah, I mean, I don't have a problem with it at all. Well, I think it is
good.
rad.
I'm not here to yuck your yum. Just state my opinion.
My last question for this episode, not hosting this episode, but do you think Maul was actually giving up at the end and surrendering? Because I got the sense that I thought that he was. Like I know he's at the end, he switches, but he looked actually scared. Like he was going to surrender. Like this is the first time I feel like we've ever seen him being like, you know what? I've lost. Like usually he's trying and trying and trying, and I feel like this was like he's fucked. Like I feel like you saw that fear in his face, and then instantly when he said, I don't know, it felt so genuine for a second, which maybe is the purpose of the fake out. But
it was a good fake out
no,
too.
I don't think there's any scenario where Maul would surrender to someone with a red lightsaber. I think he'll go down swinging, no matter how hopelessly outmatched he is. He ain't a bitch. That's a bitch move, right?
It was, but it was a good fake out though, because they definitely edited it differently for the ending of the episode versus the start of the next one. Because in the ending of the episode, it definitely has him sitting there significantly longer because it looks like he's burying himself in, which leaves the audience like, oh, wow, that's like he's saying, like, if I'm dying, you're coming with me, basically, right? And then the next episode starts, and it's like, oh, no, he just runs away. But it just didn't make it look like that in the first episode. So it was a good fake out. I mean, everything you're saying, I think, is exactly what they wanted the audience to feel. And I'm feeling it all. I'm picking up what this show's putting down.
Yeah.
We talked about it a bit, but Waterfall in the end of episode 7, it's like they unlocked a new piece of technology where they can now include waterfalls in animation. Like every couple weeks, they just blow me away with a new thing like that.
I'm glad that we all had an equal
Gorgeous
reaction
animation.
to a split second of water hitting a lightsaber. Of every single one of us just going, "Ooh, yeah, that looked good."
No, because
I literally
it
felt. Well, when they jumped through, when the Maul jumps, and then when they did, I literally felt like I went like this, every single time they did.
They brought other Zabrak down to run through the water too.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, awesome.
They did. R.I.P. to that guy too. That was. Didn't think it was going to be such an emotional beat. Like, he's like, oh no, his brother's now dead. That sucks. Like it was a low point.
All right. Episode 8. This is where the money was at this week.
How is that even possible? We just talked so good about episode 7. It's crazy.
I know. Both episodes are not without their flaws in my mind, at least. I didn't like the Mandalorians and I don't like the Dryden Voss, but boy, the first 95% of each episode is just perfect.
It's great.
Maul's. All right. Let's talk about Maul's journey, for lack of a better word, through episode 8. It was batshit crazy to reintroduce Maul, having survived episode 1 back in the Clone Wars. Unbelievable, lofty goal to set yourself and make it work, and they did it. They just explained it away that his hatred for Kenobi made him survive, and it worked. And now it's like we're diving deeper into that. But how does hatred for someone make you survive? And that is, I won't say it's as hard as explaining Maul coming back, but it's just as hard to like visually represent hatred being your catalyst for survival. And they just crush it, from the animation side, the visuals, the sound effects. I'm such a sucker for reusing legacy sound effects. And so like there's the ATST, which, you know, time and time again, whenever you hear an ATST, it sounds the exact same, and I like it. This may very well be the second time we've heard those red shields from the plasma factory on Naboo open and close again. We might have very well never heard that in 27 years. And as soon as I heard it, I'm back in The Phantom Menace watching that. And I've never viewed that scene from Maul's perspective. And that was such a game-changing viewpoint. Seeing Obi-Wan with green lightsaber. Like, I love The Phantom Menace, but man, if that was made 10, 15 years later, there would be such a gratuitous Obi-Wan standing with a green lightsaber moment, which there is kind of, but the intensity of the moment, it's really like a blink and you miss it and not that much of the focus. But Obi-Wan with a green lightsaber is just so cool. And in a show that values vibes and cool visuals, what the perfect time to bring that back. That whole sequence was just perfection.
Yeah, we've been talking the whole time.
I'm pretty pro green saber.
That's true. I feel like this is just good proof that green saber is the best color. But we've been talking this whole time about how Maul is basically just a badass who's going to aura farm the entire time, and that the show is going to live or die by the side characters, which is why it's thriving. But we were also saying, like, how are you going to have some sort of character development for Maul? And this is how they're doing it, and it's really good. The portrayal of him as a kid looking in the reflection at his younger self is heartbreaking. And yeah, it brings a different level to Maul, where it's like, yeah, he is just a scared child. Like, he's like he's the embodiment of evil, visual evil, and he's the scariest thing that you would ever see, but he's deep down just a scared child who is taken away from his home and has lost everything. And you feel bad for him a little bit. I mean, they're doing a good job. I'm sympathetic to Maul.
Yes,
I agree.
I don't want to.
It's hard to tell your wife about that, and she's like, "Wait, what?" And you're like, "Oh, it's so hard to explain to you."
I talked about this a couple weeks ago, that it's important not to lose focus. That Maul is still a villain, and even if we're watching a story from his perspective, he's not a good guy. Like, if you show me some found footage of Hitler's dad beating him as a 5-year-old, like, I'll feel bad for Hitler, but let's right. not take it too far. Like, he is still a horrible person that killed innocent people just to lure Kenobi out.
I thought talking about Hitler still. That was confusing for a sec. Yeah, I think there's a thing I feel like about Maul in this, which is he's reliving all this stuff, and I think we've all felt that at some point in our lives too, where you're down on your luck and everything, but then the fact that he's blaming everybody else, and it's a lot of his own decisions that have led him here too, right? Like, yes, circumstance is also very bad, but it's also a lot of his own doing, right? And obviously every single pick he makes, like, he is the George Costanza in a very unfunny universe where, like, basically he needs to do everything the opposite, and then it would work out like George does in that one episode. But like, he blames everybody else, but like, he does also want to continue on this path consistently, and we see that in Rebels and Clone Wars as well. Like, he could do anything else, but he's just fueled by rage, and a lot of that stuff is just because he's a young dumb child. And like you said, Max, like, he is just a scared kid, because I think that's where all went south. But again, he also has a lot of doing in his downfall, right? Like he just does. And that's what makes his death so much more sad. Looking back at it, right, when he dies, his last words, right, is like, you know, he's asking about the chosen one. He says like he will avenge us. Like the idea that like Kenobi and Maul are both products of their time and products of their happenstance, right? Like it's so depressing, like so much even more depressing seeing these scenes and being like, wow, that's incredibly dark. The fact that he basically is like, I didn't have any control in my life, which you always do, but to what extent, I don't, you know, that's where you feel bad for him, is that he doesn't have as much control, but still a shitty dude.
I definitely feel bad for him. And I specifically asked recently to see more Force lightning. And as soon as I saw it, I was like, oh, never mind.
Yeah, I didn't even think about that.
It's funny, Luke. You said it last week, I believe. Yeah.
I think it was. I mean, Force lightning is so cool, but like, don't be doing it to kids.
Yeah. Oh man, you're gonna hate Cad Bane and the Emperor now. It's like not even cool characters.
That's different.
Also, real quick, do you guys see for May 4th they're releasing that the Maul saber?
The new one?
Yeah.
No, I
just
did
like
not.
half
That's
of
exciting.
it though, right?
Yeah.
It didn't look like
Is
it was
it?
like the whole thing.
Oh, I
It
don't
looked like
know.
it was just the one half. I need to double check though. They've been announcing a lot of stuff that they're about to release because they also announced a couple new helmets, which I'm very excited about, including the Leia Bouche helmet, which has been like a grail of mine because that's a very specific helmet and pretty difficult to manufacture because it requires a lot of soft parts.
Exciting.
Yeah, I'm very excited about that.
That's a pretty iconic helmet. I'm surprised. I guess for logistics purposes, they keep repainting clone helmets and stormtrooper helmets, so you don't get so many
like the gold ones.
Yeah, and
that is very exciting.
Lando Skiff Guard helmet too. I'm very excited about as well. I'm definitely picking those two up.
Yes.
I have nothing. I have nothing more substantive to contribute to your comment, Matt. But I do want to go back and just say that describing a tragic character as George Costanza in a very unfunny world is a really funny description. I'm gonna think about that for a while. I don't know why.
That makes me happy.
Rolling in my head now.
I also would feel remiss if I didn't mention the dark side element of being fueled by hate. Like, this is a fantastical world, and so it's obviously not like a viable method for survival of just fueling yourself by hatred. But in this universe, like with this magic system that is literally fueled by negative emotions, it is so cool to see that very singular lane of dark side use carved out so explicitly. A lane that I would have referred to as very explicitly carved out before this show also. Like I would not have told you that we could see it any more clearly than we do in the Clone Wars. And this episode, like, you really run the risk of over-explaining stuff when you get into Force things like this, and they're not. They're showing us just such perfect things, you know?
They are. This episode's also incredibly hard to talk about in the fact of like how cool it is, because just like everything we're saying, it's a lot of great action. Like, I feel like in episode 7, it was a lot of like, here's scene by scene, the waterfall and everything. And this is like, yeah, this was great. I like that Two Boots made a deal with Lawson, even though I feel like he had no intention of actually taking him in. And then, the fact that like Riley and Lawson reuniting is great. Them running back through, it's just like the AT-ST even coming after them. I was like, they're just throwing everything at us, and it's great. And this car chase with Devin, I was like, there's every single character is just leveling up left and right. And of course, we get the moment with Docky where I feel like maybe it was the last episode. I could be wrong. So maybe that's what we touched on, but I just saw it from a slightly different perspective where Devin gives Docky that weirdest look of all time to be like, oh, like he just wants to run away and not interact with anything and just kind of leave the mess. That definitely is in episode 7, I believe.
Yeah, in the
but
sewer.
I feel like that is like I feel like that's the moment where you're like, oh, she's gonna be. I think she's lost respect for Daki in comparison, right? But I also don't think she's fully on Maul's side. I'm so excited to see what happens to Devin. I can't believe it, but they're also doing the show such good justice in the fact of tricking us in the fact that this is going to live or die with side characters, but it's not. It's introducing them in a very real and normal way that other animated shows doesn't usually do, and then leads us into the Maul factor, and now we're all on board with everybody, and they're all on the same page. What a good show, guys. That's my basis for this. God damn.
It's insane to have episode 8 be the first Maul-led show in the show called Maul. The first Maul-led episode. But let's go ahead and talk about all the non-Maul parts in this episode. Which this is about halfway through, but so if someone wants to discuss something earlier, stop me. But Devin commandeering that speeder, that was a cool sequence. Those big guys, and then there were more big guys. Like, I was at the point where I was having the thought in my head, like, I don't want to spend the time to watch Devin beat up these guys without a lightsaber, but I know that would make it so cool that I would be willing to, but also it's like not an efficient use of the screen time we have for how much I want to see right now. And then they just like cut to after and all of them rolling on the floor, and I thought that was perfectly handled. Are those did you recognize those aliens? Yep. You know who they were?
Mandalorian Season 2, Episode 1.
Okay, me too. That's exactly what I wrote. Were those Mando S2E1 aliens.
Yep. I think that's exactly who that was. I thought the exact same thing. I was like, oh, that's so cool that they're bringing that character or that species back. I think it all goes back to tone, where it's like some things are just better not shown. And you're right, that fight, it's like, okay, we know she can easily, kick these 3 guys' asses. They could have easily shown it. Like, it's animation. Like, it would have looked fine. But, like, it was just such a better beat to just have her have that deep sigh and just go, yeah. And then just smash cut to her getting away and those guys rolling on the ground. That was a great moment. Much like not seeing Maul do his little spin cut through the bridge maneuver. That was just a better thing where it was just like they're being tasteful with what they show and what they don't show. And I appreciate that.
Oh yeah, that spin cut was in episode 7, wasn't it? I wanted to talk about that more than we did.
That was in episode 8. That was the very beginning of 8.
It was. Okay. Well, I still missed it then. But what an interesting callback that I never would have expected to see someone else do that Sith Scream spin move.
I joked when I called it the Palpatine spin, but do you think that was an actual callback? You think that was a learned move?
100%. I think it's the same sound effect. I should have put that in my notes of recycled sound effects. I think it was the same scream.
I have to listen closer. Maybe that's why it did immediately invoke that, but I thought that I was connecting dots that didn't really exist there. But I hope that they did. That's funny.
It's an interesting semantic kind of thing if they recycled the scream, or if Sam Witwer, who has also voiced Sidious, doing his Maul impression of a Sidious scream would just be close enough that it would be indistinguishable to me.
Interesting.
That's a fun situation.
I didn't know he voiced Sidious.
Yeah, he did in animation whenever Ian McDiarmid didn't. I forget when it is. I think Ian McDiarmid did all of Rebels, but maybe Sam Witwer did a lot of Clone Wars. I forget.
I had no idea.
But yeah, that was awesome. I don't think it's canon because I'm kind of memeing, but my understanding of that is like when you are playing a beat 'em up video game and you click in on both joysticks at the same time, and that is just like a big power up, and all of a sudden you're in God mode. Like that's what Maul did. He just entered God mode, and so he can break through that wall, and that's what Palpatine did, and that's why he took out Agent Kohler and Saesee Tiin with such ease.
He just had to charge up his ultimate.
Fisto with a little bit of. But yeah, that super cool callback. I loved seeing that. That was the first lean forward moment of this episode, of which there were several. Another notably, Devin not turning down the radio in the speeder. She knows what show she's in. Good job, Devin.
Yes.
That scene could have been so much more average if this show wasn't so heavily stylized, and it would be so much worse for it.
I absolutely agree.
Yes. I loved it.
I didn't want to take it from Matt
scene.
because you said it in the text, but I had the same thought. That music was great.
Significantly better than Ahsoka and Sabine in my mind. Like, I know, Max, you love that scene.
I do love that scene. I don't know if I'll say
this
better,
is my version
but it is
of that.
It is up there. It gave a very similar vibe.
Well, it's not really fair because that's just Sabine riding down the highway, and this is an active chase scene with stormtroopers and gunships and stuff.
But the music in that is so
though.
epic that it feels like more than just Sabine driving down a highway. But also, she did that skid maneuver underneath the ship. It was more. It was intense.
That's a good example of why every show should be animation. Like, that's what we were excited about in the Ahsoka show, that she, did a skid under a roadblock. And it was awesome. Like, it blew our minds. I'm sure we recorded an episode on it. I'm sure we talked about it for 10 minutes. And, like, they do that 4 times in this chase scene. And they do the Daki throwing speeders up into the gunship. And, Two Boots and
I'm glad you're with me on this.
Brander Lawson are having a heart-to-heart. Like, this is...
But most importantly, waterfalls.
There's no waterfall in this chase scene, is there?
Oh, no, but just in general.
Yeah, just in general. Like, we see water in live action, and I don't care. No? Reserve water for animation. Green lightsaber, Obi-Wan chase music. Yeah, my last note is the Dryden Voss calls. Do you guys have anything more to say about the Maul, where we end on the Maul moment? He stands up, fully fueled by hate, willing his leg to not hurt and operate properly, which, through his mastery of the dark side, is a reasonable feat to accomplish. Like, so cool. I love Maul as a character.
I agree.
He's
love
great.
This show.
I have 2 notes.
This
in general,
I try not to jump the gun, but it was following episode 8 that I went on IMDb and rated this a 10 out of 10.
Good for you.
Maxwell, I did the same thing, but I did a 9.
What the? Why did it lose the star?
Yeah, that's huge. Because it's not over. It's not finished. Usually I reserve until a whole season or show is over.
Don't put it on yet. Wait until episode 10 and then go in and do a 10 out of 10.
No, we'll see if it changes, but 10 out of 10, Maxwell. That's
for the show or for the...
That's like watching episode 1 and giving the show 1 out of 10 stars and being like, oh, it's good. I just haven't finished it yet. Like, what the...
Max, nothing besides my favorites of my favorites are getting 10 out of 10s anyway. So this deserves the 9 it got, I think. But it's
for the show or for this episode?
The show.
I'm talking show too.
Well, yeah, I'm on Max's side. How can you go? You both did it. How can you go giving a rating to the show when it's not over?
I know. I said
I
don't really like to jump the gun, but I feel like episode 8 I had seen enough. I know where I stand on this.
Yeah.
Come back next week where we recant everything that we say and claim that this is actually a waste of time show and it's all terrible.
Yeah.
That's what you did to Acolyte. Is that what you're talking about?
Basically, yeah.
I never went in. I never...
the one note I had...
You weren't as high on Acolyte, but you were pretty high every week until the last one.
It was pretty high.
We were just saying wait to reserve judgment. The one thing I was going to say is, like, I got the weird feeling, usually it's fun to see people get, like, Force interrogated or like that, just like seeing the Force get used, but I've never considered it to be kind of violating, which it obviously is, but that was weird, right? Didn't we clock that? It felt like the Crow Inquisitor like assaulted Riley, like obviously like mentally, like he like was giving up secrets and stuff, and like he gave a weird look, like he got like assaulted, which was uncomfortable.
Mentally probed.
And I've never seen the reaction of the Force being used like that in like such a negative I mean, obviously we see it get used in negative connotation, but we never see anybody like deal with it mentally and emotionally afterwards in that way, and it felt very real and very dark. Did not like that look between him and Devin after he was talking about it.
Yeah, I liked that beat, and I agree. I do think it's a bit undercut by the fact that he told Devin that he didn't tell them anything, which it's like if you didn't tell him, you're kind of a boss for like resisting and not telling him anything, which, if you're still tortured, you're still tortured, and that sucks. But it made me think of episode 7, The Force Awakens, Star Wars episode 7. When Poe gets interrogated by Kylo Ren, I think that they were like missing an opportunity there to show a similar scene with like Riley had, where like it must be so violating and defeating to like want to resist giving information and then having it like force ripped out of you, and now your entire mission's in jeopardy and your privacy and your humanity were violated. Like, and Poe really just shrugs it off and moves on, which I've never really complained about in that movie because they have a lot to do and whatever. But this would have been a good opportunity to show that, but I feel like they then missed it on the other end where he didn't give anything away, and so.
He said he didn't know much. Right? He had that line of like, not that there was much, not that I knew much to give or whatever. I don't know. So it is different. I mean, Poe was actively resisting because he had a lot more information that he could have gleaned from him.
Yeah, and he really doesn't know anything that they don't know already. Because Merrick fought Devin and Daki, so like they know Pink Twi'lek, Green Lizard Man, 2 Jedi, and I mean they're just kind of hanging about, like there's you're right, there is no information for Riley to have or to give, but I also kind of feel like the Plague Doctor has to know that too. Like what's he hoping to find out? That they're part of a hidden path on Janix and there's actually a whole network of them? Like
I think that was just they got who they got and then they were just using him as bait to try to get Brander. Because he even said that. He was like, it's not him that he wants, it's me. And that was how he got Two Boots to agree to the trade.
What did we think of Blake's comeuppance and Side Piece's death, right? You forgive me for not remembering her name, but Lawson's side piece,
Rena?
The girl. Yeah.
What was your question?
What did we think of that sequence of her killing those stormtroopers, blowing up, assumedly herself and Blake?
Assumedly.
I didn't think she died for some reason.
That's another one where I don't want to commit to her not dying because, again, we just got confirmation somewhat that Chief Kleiss did die. So I'm like, maybe she did go out like a boss. Maybe she didn't. Maybe she'll show up in the next episode. Who knows? But I like that beat a lot, obviously. It was not like a humorous beat, but I did kind of laugh to myself when they were like, oh, maybe she's been captured. You should call her. And he's like, oh, yeah, maybe I should. And I'm like, you guys are just now thinking about this? But then there was like that good moment that, you kind of expected where she was like, oh, just like it was on whatever. And then like obviously that planet or whatever that she mentioned didn't exist. Or I don't know what the backstory is, but you know exactly what took place there as the audience, right? And then, he immediately hangs up and it immediately reminded me of Terminator when he just turns to the kid. Your parents have died or whatever he says.
That's a good call. Yeah, I like similarly like a lesser version of this show would have hemmed and hawed on that beat, like, oh, she said this code word, that means something's wrong. Well, we got to turn around. Well, we don't know everything's wrong, maybe just a little thing.
No, they do right away.
He gets off the call. All right, we got to turn around. This is a disaster.
Yep. I like that. And then there was no hesitation either. And then they were looking around, and then they just kind of quickly looked up, and then the cart was already arriving. And obviously it was edited in such a way that it's like, well, we don't really know how much time they had to get out. But it was soon enough that I was a little nervous. I was like, are they going to be in there? I mean, no. Okay. No, of course they're not going to be in there.
Seeing it come down, it was so anxiety-inducing right away. Like, you felt like you were in that scene where you're like, oh, my God, I have no time to react as the viewer, let alone the people in this scene, and just like seeing the chaos and knowing the fight scenes that they just went through with Maul and being like, these people have no chance, basically. It's great. Like even Daki, having Daki there, I don't think they were going to stand a chance, and there's just a whirl of chaos. Not to wrap things up or push things along, but I just got a text from my wife saying that I need to wrap things up because our baby is freaking out. So if you guys wouldn't mind finishing this episode by yourselves, I am so sorry. But
I didn't have any other thoughts about the episode, so that was decent timing.
I already talked about my the Dryden Voss beat at the end and how I didn't love it.
I loved it. I don't care. I got so excited. I knew exactly where it was going. we figured we knew it was gonna go, but I was like, God damn, they're gonna tie it all together, and it's confirmation. We assumed, now it's confirmed.
All right. And to tie up the side piece bit, I think she is confirmed dead because Crow and Marek Inquisitors would at least like poke her with their lightsaber if she was like on the ground coughing after that. Like, no.
Well, I mean, we also saw Maul get crushed by rocks and the next episode jump away, so I'm going to assume that something similar happened.
That's true. Yeah, you never know. You never know until you know. All right, but that wraps it up for our thoughts on Maul episode 7 and 8. Force for Thought, who's got it?
I do have a Force for Thought, and it's a quick one, too, because I was rewatching Attack of the Clones, and on Kamino, Obi-Wan versus Jango Fett, they get into a little bit of a kerfuffle, and Obi-Wan loses his lightsaber, and they make a big point about it, like they cut to the lightsaber sliding off into the little curb area, and then they get into their whole wrist cable action and everything. But then Jango leaves, and he doesn't take the lightsaber with him, which you would think yeah, you should probably take that with you. But then I was like, well, maybe he didn't know about it. But then I'm thinking about it, and I'm like, but also from like a storytelling purpose, like there's no narrative reason for him not to have taken it, because Obi-Wan doesn't use his lightsaber after that. Like, the only other time after that he used it was in the hologram message to Anakin on Tatooine when he was getting taken capture by Geonosians or battle droids, presumably.
Droidicas.
Or droidicas. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, you see it.
But it's like, he didn't need his lightsaber there. Like, he could have done all of that without a lightsaber, and Obi-Wan could have taken it. And then I started thinking, and I think it's because we live in a post-sequel trilogy era now where we're just more in tune, I don't know what the word I'm looking for is, with the existence of lightsabers at specific moments, because of like the Skywalker saga, or the Skywalker lightsaber coming back and still not really knowing how Maz Kanata got that from Bespin, or, Leia having a lightsaber. Obi-Wan doesn't have the same lightsaber in episode 3. He has a different one. But it's like, why? Like, he took his lightsaber, but it still exists. So if Jango took the lightsaber and we don't know whatever became of it, it would make more sense for Obi-Wan to have a completely different one in episode 3 rather than Anakin, because Anakin has the same lightsaber that he just rebuilds, presumably, because it gets chopped in half on Geonosis. It was a whole interesting thing going down this rabbit hole in my mind. I don't know if you guys find that as interesting as I do, but...
Max, I definitely do, and I want to talk about it, and I want you guys to talk about it because I have to boogie, and I don't want to cut this short, and I love you guys, and I'll see you next week. See you, Sammy.
Well,
right, I'll just say a few things because, Matt will fix it in post. That is a great call, Max, because you're absolutely right, and it would have been such a cooler story moment if, like, not even Jango took it, if he, like, lost it into the ocean on Kamino.
Yeah,
like that would alternative. Hold so much more intensity, because Obi-Wan loses his lightsaber in the battle with Maul. Maul kicks it down the shaft, and now Maul has it. Does that ever come up again?
That's interesting. They both end up at the bottom of that pit. No, that's never come up, but that's a fun thing to think about.
That is worth thinking about. But then he rebuilds a nearly identical lightsaber for episode 2, assumedly. In my mind, that was like a production mistake that they just gave him the same one and forgot that it was destroyed or lost. And so they canonically said he rebuilt it, and it's basically the same. Because that is also what happens to Anakin, but his is a little bit different between episode 2 and episode 3, but not very. But I really like this Force for Thought because, yes, narratively, it would have been more appropriate if he had just lost it. I mean, then we would be having a Force for Thought of, like, why don't you go pick up another lightsaber before you go to Geonosis? But no, time was of the essence. That wouldn't be any problem.
And I think it would contribute.
Yeah, that's a great call.
If he took it with him instead of, like, kicking it into the ocean or whatever, I feel like it would also contribute to the persona around Jango Fett as like his caliber of a bounty hunter. If he shows up to Geonosis with a Jedi's lightsaber, you know what I mean? Like, that just kind of adds to what we already kind of perceive to be about him.
Yes, and how badass of a moment it could have been if he just like walked over and kicked it into the ocean. Like, oh,
that's true.
Man, that's a lot to chew on. That's a great Force for Thought.
Think about it. Let us know what you think. You can reach out to us across social media at ForceForThought, or you could email us at forceforthought@gmail.com.